Maxwell Street in Chicago isn't much of a street to look at it. It's only a couple of blocks long, centering around Halsted a few blocks south of Roosevelt, interrupted to the east by the highway and to the west by the university. But the words Maxwell Street in Chicago mean more than that, of course. It's a street, yes, but it's also a market. It's the neighborhood that once surrounded the market. It's a cultural institution that for over 100 years was an important piece of the social and commercial lives of many of the less privileged inhabitants of Chicago. Let's start with the street, though. In the 1850s, when it first appeared on Chicago maps, Maxwell Street ran straight through from the south branch of the river west to Blue Island Avenue. By the turn of the 20th century, the area around Maxwell Street had been settled by European Jews, becoming something of a cultural enclave known in Chicago as Jewtown. A weekly open-air market came to be held every Sunday there, and in 1912, the city of Chicago officially recognized that market. Demographics changed, and over the course of the 20th century, the Jewish vendors made way for black migrants from the South, who settled in the south and west sides of Chicago during the Great Migration, and eventually Latin Americans. It was a cultural nexus for low-income Chicagoans, an incubator of business, of fashion, of music. The Chicago blues musical style was born here, when the earlier blues of the Mississippi Delta met the urban life of the city. Muddy Waters got his start busking at the Maxwell Street Market. John Lee Hooker played the market too, most famously in a scene from the Blues Brothers. In 1939, a Yugoslavian immigrant named Jimmy Stefanovic opened a hot dog stand on the northwest corner of Halsted and Maxwell. And within a few years, he introduced a Polish sausage sandwich that would come to be known as the Maxwell Street Polish. The classic Maxwell Street Polish is not a gas station Polish sausage heated on rollers. It's a 6-inch section of kielbasa, coarse ground, garlicky, smoky, cooked on a griddle long enough that the casing crisps and blackens. It's served in a cheap hot dog bun with yellow mustard, cooked onions, and optional hot peppers, which in this case consist of pickled serranos. Everything at a Maxwell Street stand means mustard and grilled onions. There are no pickles, no raw onions, no ketchup apart from the meager 1 or 2 packets they give out for the fries that come free with every sandwich. If you order a hot dog with everything, a burger with everything, a pork chop sandwich with everything, mustard and grilled onions are what will come on it, and you ask for the hot peppers separately. Jimmy's stand doesn't exist on the corner of Maxwell and Halsted anymore. Neither does the Express Grill, their rival of decades, with a nearly identical menu. In the 1990s, the University of Illinois at Chicago executed a plan to use eminent domain to claim the area around Maxwell and Halsted for future campus expansion. Efforts to grant historical status to dozens of buildings in the area were denied by the state. The area was redeveloped, not into public use university campus buildings, but into private, for-profit condos and commercial buildings. The weekly market was moved a half-mile east to Canal Street, where it was still called Maxwell Street Market. I frequented the market when it was there on Canal Street. I tried elotes for the first time there, and Oaxacan tamales, and huitlacoche. My friend Tom took this video in which my son and I shared a taco de ojos back in 2007, before the market was moved again a few blocks west to Des Plaines Street, where it remained slightly interrupted by COVID until last year. In 2001, the Maxwell Street hot dog stands were relocated a block east to Union Avenue, just off the highway, where for 20 years the smell of cooked onions lingered in the air 24/7. In 2021, the university required them to close from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. daily, but they're still there, cranking out Polish sausages. For years, I've been telling people that Jim's was the place to go for a Polish, but on this most recent trip, I actually liked the sausage from Express Grill better. In a pinch, though, I can make them myself at home. These days, the Maxwell Street Market has been moved back to Maxwell Street, east from Halsted and around the corner onto Union, right in front of Express Grill and Jim's. But it's down to one Sunday a month, and the vendors have not really returned, especially the food vendors I remember. Perhaps the brick-and-mortar restaurants on the block don't want the competition. The Maxwell Street Foundation appears to be trying to revive the market, and I hope they can. For many years, it was one of the best parts of Chicago.